"You have got to be kidding me," I muttered, my 6 appendages trembling in disbelief as I watched the transmission. "They are actually going there? Voluntarily?" My superior, Fleet Commander Grix Vontala, clicked his mandibles in what our species considers laughter. "Humans, First Officer Pax. What did you expect?" I stared at the holographic display showing the trajectory of the small human vessel heading straight for Nexus 9, the most notoriously deadly planet in the known galaxy. "But sir, Nexus 9 has killed every sentient being that's landed on its surface. Even our best exploratory drones lasted only 47 minutes before being crushed, dissolved, or blown apart. 76 minutes, actually," came a cheerful voice from behind us. I spun around, nearly knocking over my nutrient dispenser with my tail. A human female stood in the doorway of our observation deck, leaning casually against the frame as if she hadn't just announced her intention to commit elaborate suicide. "Captain Lena Frost," she said, extending one of her peculiar 5-digited appendages. "Earth Expeditionary Force." Commander Vontala touched appendages with her in the customary greeting while I remained frozen in place. Humans were still relatively new to the Galactic Alliance, having only achieved faster-than-light travel 60 Earth years ago. They were odd creatures, soft-skinned, only 2 primary limbs, and with internal skeletons of all things. Yet somehow they'd managed to become one of the most successful spacefaring races in record time. "First Officer Zakari Pax," the commander introduced me. "He's been studying Nexus 9 for the past 3 cycles. "Perfect," Captain Frost exclaimed, her face contorting into what humans call a smile, displaying her bone-white teeth. "Then you are exactly who I need on my advisory team for this mission." "Advisory team?" I sputtered. "Captain Frost, I don't think you understand. Nexus 9 isn't just dangerous. It's certain death. The atmospheric pressure is 90 times that of your Earth. The rain is literally sulfuric acid. The temperature fluctuations can go from -200 to +500 degrees in a single planetary rotation. And that's not even mentioning the electromagnetic storms that fry any technology more sophisticated than a spring-loaded trap." She nodded enthusiastically, as if I'd just described a pleasant vacation spot. "Sounds like my kind of challenge. You should see the lineup of volunteers I had to turn away. Nearly the entire EF wanted in on this one." Commander Vontala made that infuriating clicking sound again. "May I ask why you are so determined to visit this particular death trap, Captain?" "There are plenty of other less immediately fatal planets to explore." Captain Frost pulled out a small device and projected a 3D image of Nexus 9. Our long-range scans detected unusual mineral formations in the northern hemisphere. "We believe it might be natural deposits of quantrium." I nearly choked on my own respiratory fluids. Quantrium was the most valuable substance in the galaxy, a superconducting mineral that could revolutionize everything from starship engines to medical technology. It was also incredibly rare. "That's impossible," I stammered. "Our scans never detected." "Your scans weren't calibrated for quantrium signatures," she interrupted, zooming in on a particular mountain range. "We modified our sensors based on some theoretical work from our materials science division. The readings are preliminary, but promising enough to warrant an expedition." Commander Vontala's compound eyes gleamed with interest. "The Alliance would be exceedingly grateful if you could verify this discovery, Captain Frost." "That's what we are hoping," she replied with another toothy smile. "Now, about that advisory position, Officer Pax. Your expertise would be invaluable. We leave in 6 hours. You want me to come with you?" My voice reached a pitch I didn't know was possible for my species. "Oh no," she laughed. "We wouldn't ask you to risk your life. You will be on our support vessel in orbit. Just feed us information about surface conditions as we go." Before I could formulate a response, my personal communication device buzzed. The alert displayed a message that made my heart sink. "Mandatory assignment, human expedition support. Report immediately." "Looks like your superiors are on board," Captain Frost said, glancing at my device. Don't worry, Officer Pax. We will try not to get ourselves killed out there. That would look terrible on your performance review. 6 hours later, I found myself aboard the human support vessel Opportunity Knox, a name I found disturbingly optimistic given the circumstances. The humans had assembled a team of 5 for the surface expedition: Captain Frost, Security Officer Dax Riker, Geologist Dr. Jana Patel, Engineer Tommy Quinn, and Biologist Dr. Marco Alvarez. They were currently suiting up in what they called environment suits, which looked hopelessly inadequate for Nexus 9's conditions. "Those won't last 10 minutes on the surface," I told Captain Frost as she checked her helmet seals. "Our reinforced exploration pods disintegrated after less than 2 hours." "These aren't standard issue," Engineer Quinn piped up, patting his suit affectionately. "A custom built for extreme environments. Triple-layered graphene composite outer shell with dynamic pressure compensation, thermal regulation systems that can handle temperature swings of up to 1,000 degrees, and acid-neutralizing coating that continuously regenerates. And they look pretty stylish too," Security Officer Riker added with a wink, striking a pose that I assumed was meant to be humorous. Dr. Patel rolled her eyes. "Dax thinks everything's a fashion show." "When you look this good?" "It is," Riker replied without missing a beat. I marveled at their casual banter in the face of near-certain doom. Either humans were the bravest species I'd ever encountered, or they had a fundamental inability to properly assess danger. Possibly both. "Our landing module is prepped and ready," Dr. Alvarez announced, entering the prep room. "Weather conditions on the surface are, well, terrible as expected, but we have identified a 2-hour window when they will be marginally less apocalyptic." Captain Frost clapped her hands. "Perfect. Let's move out, team." As they filed toward the launch bay, I hurried alongside Captain Frost. "You do realize that even with your advanced suits, the chances of survival are astronomically low. The Alliance has lost 17 different exploratory missions to Nexus 9. 17? She looked genuinely surprised. "Ha! Would have thought it'd be more." "This isn't a joke, Captain. I have studied the deaths of 342 beings who attempted to explore that planet. None of them lasted more than 3 hours on the surface." She stopped walking and placed a hand on my upper appendage. "Officer Pax, I appreciate your concern." "Really, I do. But sometimes the potential reward outweighs the risk. If there's quantrium down there, it could save millions of lives across the galaxy with the medical advancements alone. But, besides," she continued with a grin, "humans have a bit of a reputation for surviving where others don't. Consider it our specialty." With that, she joined her team in the landing module, a sleek, black craft that resembled a squashed oval with stubby wings. The outer hull was covered in a material I didn't recognize, probably another human innovation. I reluctantly took my position in the command center alongside Commander Vontala and the human support crew. The main view screen showed the landing module detaching from the ship and beginning its descent toward the swirling, toxic atmosphere of Nexus 9. "Mission Control, this is Captain Frost." Her voice came through clearly despite the growing electromagnetic interference. "Beginning atmospheric entry in T-30 seconds. "Copy that, Captain," responded the mission coordinator, a stern-looking human named Director Trask. "All systems nominal. Weather window holding steady." I pulled up the real-time sensor readings on my console. "Captain, be advised that wind speeds in the upper atmosphere are reaching 400 kilometers per hour. There's also a particulate storm forming in your landing zone," noted Officer Pax. "We are adjusting our entry vector." The landing module disappeared into the thick, yellowish clouds of Nexus 9's atmosphere. For several tense minutes, we lost all contact, as expected due to the interference. Commander Vontala placed an appendage on my shoulder. "Breathe, First Officer. They knew what they were getting into." "Did they?" I hissed back. "Did they really? Because I'm not convinced any sane being would willingly enter that death trap." The communication system suddenly crackled to life. "Mission Control, this is Frost. We have touched down on the surface. And wow, Just wow! The visual feed from their helmet cameras activated, showing us what they were seeing. I expected scenes of devastation and immediately hostile conditions. Instead, I saw beauty, towering crystal formations stretched toward a sky filled with swirling, multicolored clouds. The ground beneath their feet seemed to pulse with a faint blue light. In the distance, mountain ranges glowed with veins of what appeared to be molten metal. Atmospheric readings are surprising, Dr. Alvarez reported. Pressure is high, but within our suit's tolerances. Temperature holding at -20 degrees Celsius. No immediate signs of acid precipitation. This doesn't make sense, I muttered, checking and rechecking our data. Every previous reading showed conditions far more extreme than this. Dr. Patel's voice came through next. The mineral composition here is unlike anything I have ever seen. These crystal formations aren't just beautiful, they appear to be naturally occurring environmental regulators. They are absorbing energy from the atmosphere and redistributing it somehow. Officer Pax, Captain Frost called. Are we still in the right place? Did we land on the correct planet? I verified the coordinates 3 times. Yes, Captain, you are definitely on Nexus 9. But these conditions don't match any of our historical data. Theory. Engineer Quinn chimed in, scanning one of the crystal formations. What if Nexus 9 isn't inherently deadly? What if it's adaptive? Explain, Commander Vontala demanded, his interest piqued. Well, from what I'm seeing, these crystal structures are incredibly responsive to their environment. They are almost like a planetary immune system. What if previous expeditions were treated as threats, but we are being treated differently? That's ridiculous, I scoffed. A planet can't make decisions about who to kill. Maybe not consciously, Dr. Alvarez said, but complex systems can exhibit behavior that mimics intelligence. Earth's ecosystems do it all the time on a smaller scale. Captain Frost moved toward a particularly large crystal formation. So you are saying we are being welcomed? As if in response, the crystal before her pulsed with a brilliant blue light. The ground trembled slightly. Captain? We have got movement, Security Officer Riker reported, his hand moving to his weapon. The surrounding crystals began to glow in sequence, creating a path that led toward the distant mountains. I think we are being invited somewhere, Captain Frost said, her voice filled with wonder and excitement. We're led into a trap, Riker countered. Dr. Patel's scanner beeped urgently. Captain, I'm detecting massive quantrium readings from the direction the crystals are pointing. The concentration it's off the charts. Captain Frost looked directly into her camera, and I could see the determination in her eyes. Mission Control, we are going to follow this path and see where it leads. Officer Pax, keep monitoring surface conditions and alert us to any changes. Captain, I strongly advise against this, I pleaded. Just because the planet hasn't killed you yet doesn't mean it won't, noted Officer Pax. But this is exactly why we came here. Team, let's move out. Stay alert and keep your comms open. I watched in horror as the 5 humans began following the glowing crystal path toward the mountains. Commander Vontala settled into a chair beside me, his compound eyes fixed on the screen. Fascinating, isn't it? He mused. 17 expeditions from the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy, all failures. Then humans come along and the planet practically rolls out a welcome mat. They have been on the surface for 22 minutes, I reminded him. The current survival record is 76 minutes. He clicked his mandibles in that infuriating way again. I care to place a wager on whether they break that record? I was about to respond when one of our sensor technicians called out in alarm. Massive energy spike detected on the surface. Some kind of electromagnetic pulse heading straight for the landing team. Captain Frost. I shouted into the comm. Emergency. Take cover immediately. Through their helmet cameras, we watched as the sky above them turned a brilliant purple. Forks of energy that resembled lightning but moved in impossible patterns began dancing between the crystal formations. Well, Captain Frost's voice came through, surprisingly calm. This just got a lot more interesting. The energy converged directly above them, forming a swirling vortex of light and power. I was certain we were about to witness their demise. Instead, a beam of concentrated energy shot down from the vortex, striking the ground before them. When the light faded, a pathway had been carved into the side of the mountain, a perfect tunnel leading directly into the heart of Nexus 9. "Would you look at that?" Engineer Quinn whispered. "It made us a door." "Captain," Riker said cautiously, "I know what you are thinking, and I want to go on record saying it's a terrible idea." Captain Frost turned to face her team, her expression visible through her helmet visor. Noted, "Officer Riker, now, who wants to be the first humans to walk into the heart of the galaxy's deadliest planet?" Dr. Patel stepped forward. "The quantrium readings are coming from inside. If we came this far just to turn back—" "Exactly," Frost nodded. "Mission Control, we are proceeding into the tunnel. If we lose communication, don't send a rescue team. Wait for our signal." "Captain, please," I begged. "This is beyond reckless." She smiled directly into the camera. "Officer Pax, throughout human history, our greatest discoveries have come from being just the right amount of reckless." Her Frost out. The transmission continued, but communication became spotty as they entered the tunnel. The last clear image we received was of Captain Frost leading her team into the glowing passage, surrounded by pulsing crystals that seemed to bend toward them as they passed. Then the signal went dead. 68 minutes, Commander Vontala noted. 8 more minutes and they break the record. I stared at the static-filled screen, a strange mixture of terror and admiration filling my hearts. "Do you think they have any chance of surviving this?" The commander considered for a moment before responding. "If it were any other species, I would say absolutely not. But humans! They have an annoying habit of doing the impossible." The mission clock ticked past 76 minutes. The humans had officially survived longer on Nexus 9 than any expedition before them. And somewhere deep beneath the surface of the galaxy's deadliest planet, 5 humans were walking where no sentient being had ever walked before, not running from danger, but heading straight toward it with nothing but curiosity and determination. I somehow knew that this was just the beginning of their story. And despite my better judgment, I found myself hoping they would return to tell it. That's how long the human expedition had been on the surface of Nexus 9, shattering all previous survival records. And for the past hour, we'd had absolutely no communication with them. "This is ridiculous," I muttered, pacing the command center with all 6 of my limbs twitching anxiously. "We should declare them lost and be done with it." Director Trask, the human mission coordinator, shot me a look that made my exoskeleton feel 2 sizes too small. "We will wait as long as it takes, Officer Pax. That's standard protocol for Earth Expeditionary Force missions." "Standard protocol for suicide missions, you mean?" I snapped back. Commander Vontala clicked his mandibles in warning. "Officer Pax, perhaps you should take a nutrition break. Your stress hormones are clearly affecting your professionalism." I was about to protest when one of the human technicians suddenly shouted, "I have got something." Faint signal coming from the tunnel entrance. All eyes turned to the main view screen as static gradually resolved into a blurry image. It's a figure in an environment suit was emerging from the tunnel, then another and another. "Is that all 5 of them?" Commander Vontala asked, his compound eyes widening in disbelief. "Vitals coming online," another technician confirmed. "All 5 signatures present and stable?" The camera zoomed in on Captain Frost as she reached up to activate her long-range communicator. "Mission Control, this is Frost. Can you read me?" "Loud and clear, Captain," Director Trask responded, unable to keep the relief from his voice. "Status report?" Captain Frost's laughter echoed through the command center. "Status is, well, you wouldn't believe me if I told you. We need immediate extraction with cargo capacity." "A lot of cargo capacity." "Captain," I interrupted, unable to contain myself. "What happened in there? How did you survive?" The camera angle shifted as she turned to look back at the mountain, Officer Pax. You are not going to believe this, but Nexus 9 isn't trying to kill anyone. It's been trying to communicate. Before I could process that baffling statement, Engineer Quinn stepped into view, carrying what appeared to be a large crystal formation. This little beauty is what we came for. Pure quantrium, more concentrated than anything we have ever theorized possible. Dr. Patel joined them, her suit covered in a fine, glittering dust. The entire central chamber is lined with it. There's enough quantrium in there to revolutionize technology across the galaxy for centuries. But that's impossible, I sputtered. If there was that much quantrium, why didn't previous expeditions detect it? Because it wasn't there before, Dr. Alvarez replied, stepping into frame. There, at least, not in this form. The planet created it for us. Created it? Commander Vontala repeated incredulously. Planets don't create mineral deposits on demand. Security Officer Riker appeared last, backing out of the tunnel with his weapon drawn, though it was pointed at the ground rather than at any threat. Yeah, well, this one does. And wait till you hear why. Captain Frost motioned for her team to gather around. Mission Control, we are transmitting our suit recordings now, but the short version is this. Nexus 9 isn't a planet. It's an entity. A sentient system that's been trying to find compatible life forms to communicate with for thousands of years. The data transfer began, and we watched in stunned silence as their helmet recordings played on secondary screens. The tunnel had led them to an immense cavern inside the mountain, where crystal formations larger than starships grew in complex, geometrically impossible patterns. At the center stood what appeared to be a structure, not natural, but not recognizably artificial either. It's some kind of interface, Dr. Patel's recorded voice explained. The crystals are conduits for a planetary consciousness. Every expedition that came before us was simply incompatible. The planet was trying to establish communication but ended up killing them instead because their biology couldn't handle the connection. So why are humans compatible? Director Trask asked the question we were all thinking. Captain Frost's current voice answered, our neurological structure, apparently. Something about the way human brains process information made us ideal candidates. The planet's been waiting a long time for someone like us to arrive. This is absurd, I said flatly. You expect us to believe that Nexus 9 is sentient and has been killing explorers accidentally while trying to make friends? Not exactly, Engineer Quinn corrected. It recognized every previous expedition as intelligent but couldn't establish communication without causing biological failure. With us, it found a match. And it's been eager to talk. What did it say? Commander Vontala asked, his scientific curiosity overriding his skepticism. Captain Frost's expression became somber through her helmet visor. It's dying, Commander. Nexus 9 has been slowly losing energy for millennia. The extreme weather conditions, the electromagnetic storms, they are symptoms of its deteriorating state. It created the quantrium as a gift and as a request for help. Security Officer Riker shuffled uncomfortably. It wants a symbiotic relationship with humanity. It provides quantrium and other resources we can't even imagine yet, and in exchange we help stabilize its core systems. The death of previous expeditions makes sense now, Dr. Alvarez added. When the planet tried to connect with them, their neural systems overloaded. Humans, though, we have got just the right balance of neural plasticity and stability to handle the connection. On the recordings, we could see Captain Frost approaching what appeared to be a pulsating crystal formation at the center of the chamber. As she placed her hand on it, the entire cavern lit up with patterns of light that seemed to follow neural pathways. It showed us how to stabilize its core, her recorded voice explained. It needs a very specific energy signature that humans apparently produce naturally when our minds engage in certain types of creative problem-solving. We literally think in ways that can heal this planet. Back in real time, Captain Frost looked directly into her camera. Mission Control, we need a full science team deployed here immediately, and volunteers willing to serve as neural stabilizers while we figure out a more permanent solution. Neural stabilizers? I echoed. You are asking people to plug their brains into a planet? It's not as invasive as it sounds, Dr. Patel assured us. More like meditation while in contact with the crystal conduits. The exchange is actually pleasant. Pleasant? Director Trask sounded skeptical. Euphoric might be a better word, Security Officer Riker admitted with a half-smile. Who knew saving a planet could feel better than the best vacation of your life? Captain Frost's tone became serious. There's something else, Director. Something you need to know before we proceed. I'm listening, Captain. Nexus 9 isn't unique. It's part of a network, possibly thousands of similar entities across the galaxy. Some may already be dead, others dying like this one. But if we can establish communication with them. Commander Vontala's mandibles clicked rapidly, the equivalent of a gasp in his species. The implications would be staggering. An entire network of sentient planets with resources and knowledge beyond our comprehension. Exactly, Captain Frost nodded. And Nexus 9 can help us locate the others. It's been trying to find them for centuries, but its range is limited in its weakened state. I found myself strangely quiet, trying to process everything I was hearing. After years of studying Nexus 9 as a deadly anomaly, the idea that it was actually a desperate, dying entity reaching out for help was almost too much to comprehend. I still don't understand, I finally said. If what you are saying is true, why create Quantrium for you? What does that have to do with saving the planet? Engineer Quinn held up the crystal formation he was carrying. The Quantrium isn't just valuable to us, Officer Pax. It's a physical manifestation of the planet's consciousness, a way for pieces of itself to exist off-world. With enough of it distributed across our technology, Nexus 9 could extend its awareness beyond its own atmosphere. It's not just giving us a valuable resource, it's asking us to help it connect with its kind. You are saying we'd be building a communications network for a planetary consciousness, Director Trask summarized, looking both disturbed and fascinated. While revolutionizing every aspect of our technology in the process, Captain Frost added, it's what humans would call a win-win situation. Dr. Alvarez stepped forward. There's one more thing. The planet can control its environmental conditions much more precisely than we realized. What we thought were deadly natural phenomena were actually defense mechanisms, and now that it recognizes us as allies, it's creating safe zones for human habitation. To demonstrate, Dr. Alvarez panned her helmet camera around, showing us the landscape surrounding the mountain. What had previously been barren, crystal-covered terrain was now showing signs of transformation. The ground had softened, and what appeared to be atmosphere processors were forming from the crystal structures, changing the air composition in real time. It's terraforming itself for us, she explained with awe in her voice, creating habitable zones where we can establish research centers without requiring environment suits. The process will take time, but within months, humans could walk on parts of Nexus 9 as easily as walking through an Earth park. Commander Vontala turned to me. Well, First Officer Pax, it appears your deadly planet is more hospitable than anyone could have imagined, at least to humans. I stared at the screen, watching as Captain Frost's team began setting up equipment near the tunnel entrance. They moved with confidence and purpose, as if they weren't standing on a surface that had killed hundreds before them. I'm requesting permission to join the ground team, I heard myself say before I could reconsider. All eyes in the command center turned to me. Officer Pax? Commander Vontala's tone was incredulous. Just hours ago, you were convinced Nexus 9 was a death trap. It is, I replied. For my species, at least. But if what the humans are saying is true, this discovery changes everything we thought we knew about planetary development. I have spent my career studying this world. I need to see it up close, even if I can only do so from within a reinforced pod. Director Trask studied me for a moment, then nodded. We will need liaison officers from the Alliance anyway. Captain Frost, can you accommodate Officer Pax on the surface? With appropriate safety measures, of course. Captain Frost's laugh came through the comm. The more the merrier. Officer Pax, We'd be honored to have your expertise. The planet is actually creating specialized environments for different biological needs. It's possible it could accommodate your physiology in controlled areas. That would be, for once in my life I found myself at a loss for words. Sounds like a yes to me, Security Officer Riker quipped. Better pack your sunscreen, Officer Pax. Although around here you might need acid-resistant cream instead. 3 days later, I found myself inside a reinforced observation pod at the edge of what the humans had dubbed the Nexus Gateway, the tunnel entrance that led to the planet's central communication hub. All around me, human scientists, engineers, and volunteers moved with surprising ease, many now able to work for short periods without full environment suits in the specially modified zones. Captain Frost approached my pod, tapping on the transparent barrier to get my attention. "How's the view, Officer Pax?" "Overwhelming," I admitted. "I spent my entire career believing this planet was nothing but a deadly anomaly. To discover it's actually a sentient entity that's been misunderstood for centuries." "That's humanity's specialty," she grinned. "Finding the exceptions to the rules. Speaking of which, our engineers think they have figured out a way for you to experience the neural connection safely. Interested?" My heart's raced at the possibility. "You think it would work with my species' neurological structure?" "Only one way to find out," she shrugged. "The planet seems eager to communicate with more diverse life forms now that it understands how to modulate its energy output. You'd be the first non-human to make contact." I hesitated only briefly before responding. "When do we start?" The modified neural interface looked nothing like the beautiful crystal formations the humans had first encountered. Instead, it resembled a medical device attached to the exterior of my reinforced pod, with tendrils of synthesized crystal reaching through specially designed ports to make contact with my neural receptors. "Ready?" Engineer Quinn asked from the control panel. Around us, a team of human scientists and medical personnel stood by, monitoring equipment that would sever the connection at the first sign of danger. Captain Frost gave me an encouraging nod. "As ready as I will ever be," I replied, trying to keep my appendages from trembling. The moment the connection activated, my perception of reality fundamentally changed. I was no longer simply Zakari Pax, First Officer of the Galactic Alliance. I was simultaneously myself and a small part of something vast and ancient. Thoughts that were not my own flowed through my consciousness, not with words, but with impressions of geological time, stellar cycles, and patient loneliness that had persisted for millennia. "Can you hear it?" Captain Frost's voice seemed distant despite her standing right beside my pod. "Yes," I whispered. "It's grateful. So grateful not to be alone anymore." Through the connection, I understood what the humans had already discovered. Nexus 9 was one of many similar entities scattered across the galaxy, living planets with consciousness emerging from complex crystalline structures at their cores. They had once been part of a vast network, sharing experiences and knowledge across light years. But something had happened, a cosmic event that had severed their connections and left them isolated. The loneliness had nearly killed them. Some had gone dormant. Others had become erratic, their attempts to reach out manifesting as deadly phenomena that scared away or killed potential communicators. Nexus 9 had been trying to reconnect with its kind for longer than most civilizations had existed. And now, through an unlikely partnership with humans, a species whose neural patterns somehow resonated with its own crystalline structures, it had found hope. "It wants to show us where the others are," I said, overwhelmed by the images flowing through my mind. "It knows of at least 12 others within reach of our current technology." Captain Frost leaned closer to my pod. 12 sentient planets waiting to be rediscovered? The Alliance would establish humanity's place in galactic politics for generations. "That's your takeaway from this?" I asked, genuinely surprised despite my altered state. "Political advantage?" She laughed. "No, but it's a nice bonus. The real prize is what we are experiencing right now, connection with something so different from ourselves that it expands our very definition of life and consciousness. Plus, the quantrium won't hurt." As the connection continued, I received impressions of what Nexus 9 envisioned for the future: human outposts on its surface, serving as both research centers and stabilizing nodes for its consciousness. Ships carrying quantrium-enhanced technology that would serve as extended sensory networks, allowing it to reach toward its distant kin. And eventually, a restored network of planetary minds sharing knowledge with biological species in a symbiotic relationship unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. "Your species truly does have a gift for the impossible," I told Captain Frost as the connection began to fade. "Anyone else would have run from this planet. You made friends with it." "What can I say? Humans love a challenge." She patted my pod affectionately. "Speaking of which, want to be the first Alliance officer assigned to the Nexus 9 permanent research station? We could use someone who knows how to file all the proper paperwork with the bureaucrats back home." Even with my neural receptors still tingling from communing with a planetary consciousness, I found myself laughing at the absurdity of it all. "Are you offering me a job, Captain Frost?" "More like an adventure," she corrected. "The first of many, if this planet has anything to say about it." As I looked out at the transformed landscape, where the most notoriously deadly planet in the galaxy was now actively creating safe havens for its new allies, I realized something profound. The universe wasn't just stranger than we imagined, it was stranger than we could imagine. At least until humans came along and decided to make friends with it anyway. "Count me in," I said, already composing my resignation from the Alliance Observation Corps in my head. Some opportunities were too extraordinary to pass up, no matter how many safety regulations they violated. Captain Frost grinned. "Welcome to the team, Officer Pax. Or should I say Ambassador Pax? You are about to become the first official diplomatic liaison to a sentient planet. Ambassador to the planet most likely to kill me," I mused. "My mother will be so proud." "Don't worry," she winked. "On Nexus 9 we just call that Tuesday." As the human team erupted in laughter around me, I felt the faint echo of something else through the remnants of the neural connection, a planet-sized consciousness experiencing humor for the first time, and finding it very much to its liking. The galaxy's deadliest planet had found its match in humanity, a species crazy enough to see opportunity where others saw only danger. And somehow, against all odds and reason, they'd turned certain death into the greatest discovery of the age. Typical humans. They really did make a habit of the impossible.